Let's go with the biggest story, Kimbo. I think there were some encouraging things in the fight. I come out of it, and one of the first things I say is, I know it's a smaller guy, but power-wise, I think he's a legit heavyweight, and he showed some positives.
He showed a lot of improvement. I think the one thing that I've been consistent on what I've said about Kimbo is that, for all the detractors he's had, he has worked and just tried to get better. And he's better now than when he came into the house, and he's better now than when he was in Elite XC. I wouldn't say that, he's a dominant fighter by any stretch of the imagination, and I think most of the guys in the UFC he's going to lose to. But you know what? He's got a UFC win under his belt, and, 99.9% of the men in the world don't have that. So, good for him.
Were you surprised by the fight, especially on the side of Houston? He's been this killer, aggressive guy, and then he went out there, and whether it was flawed game plan, was he scared?
Totally shocked by his game plan. I guess he figured fighting the heavyweight and Kimbo's punching power reputation. I don't know, Steve, but I was totally stunned. I had a chance to talk to Dana White, and I put it in my story, and he said, I don't know if Caleb Starnes was coaching him or what. But Houston's game plan was just ridiculous. Just running in circles, basically. The first round, he won the first round on 2 of the 3 judges' cards, but really, what did he do? He landed a couple of kicks and nothing else. Kimbo at least held the center of the cage. And I expected much, much more from Houston Alexander. I was very disappointed in his performance.
So can they, for Kimbo, find a mid-level guy, 230, 240, who's more of a striker, that can make a big fight? Frankly, I think he belongs on a pay-per-view, and if he flames out, they made their money. Sure. He got his attention, but they are going to use him and ride him for all he's worth.
Well, what about guys like Pat Barry and Tim Hague and guys like that? I think Pat Barry might be one that we'll see him with. I think that's the kind of guy that right now he's going to fight. Hardonk might be another type guy. If he fights at heavyweight, there's always the possibility. He was 212 pounds tonight. He left open at the post-fight press conference the idea that he might drop down and fight at light heavyweight. He said, I'll leave it up to my people and Dana White. I think light heavyweight would be tougher if he went down there. I think there's more good fighters there, but he won't fight those massive guys like Lesnar and Shane Carwin.
It's not a bad idea. There's more attractive matchups. Now that Liddell and Ortiz are going to be locked up for a while, that would have been 2 of the guys. But, there are some glamour fights out there at 205 against, one-dimensional, mostly strikers.
You said we're going to disagree. And, where's this talk coming from that he's going to fight Liddell or Ortiz? I just don't see that. I don't, even with both of those guys being diminished from their state, let's be honest here. Kimbo has a lot to prove before he can ever get to that stage. There's a long way to go from Houston Alexander to Chuck Liddell. And I don't care that Chuck's got knocked out a few times. I think there's a long way to go. So to my way of thinking, I think that Houston needs to take baby steps, and I just don't think he's ready for those kind of fighters.
Well, let's make sure that Kimbo works with someone who knows about weight cutting, because there's no reason he needed to starve himself down to 212. Yeah. He should have shown up this week basically at like 225, 5 pounds under his own weight. He could have melted himself down 10 pounds on the weigh-in day and gotten it all back.
He weighed 223 when he got here, so obviously he didn't do well when he cut during the week. The way he did it was kind of strange. He said at the press conference, kind of funny that he had room service twice on Friday night, so I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, Kimbo, that's something he has to work on. But you know what? He's a guy that he doesn't have a college wrestling background. He never did any of that, so that's the first time he had to do it. So, I'll give him a break on that.
All right, out of the John Jones thing, I think you're going to get some people saying that Mazzagatti blew it, that it shouldn't have come to the point where he needed to take a point away or save Matt Hamill that way, that he should have stopped it a couple of seconds before that.
I thought the fight should have been stopped just from the fact that I thought that Jones threw 12, 14, 15 unanswered punches and elbows. I thought he was inflicting damage that were legal blows. Now, he did have the illegal blow, and that the doctor advised that he couldn't continue. Mazzagatti, made the decision, but the doctor, didn't like what he saw. Mazzagatti took the doctor's opinion into account. But, Steve, I think that's one of those things that, we've seen Mazzagatti. He's getting criticized for stopping the Rothwell-Cain Velasquez fight. A lot of people think that was early. This one, he let go the wrong way. I really believe, I didn't disagree too much with this decision in the Velasquez fight because I thought Cain was a hard puncher and was landing some pretty good shots. But tonight, I thought, you're talking about Johnny Bones Jones drilling Matt Hamill down there. And, fortunately, Matt didn't get hurt. He landed 12, 14, 15. And I think, he set off an unfortunate circumstance there by waiting.
Controversial, but in some ways a blessing in disguise that Jones rolled. He should have won, but he got through it, I think, unscathed. They need fighters. So, wouldn't it be a nice way to kind of repair the image for him? And he just lost his first fight, to get him in here on one of these next like 4 or 5 cards, maybe even by the middle of January, by the end of March.
Yeah, well, you had hoped to get him, I guess by February. I don't think you can get an opponent ready for him by, the first card in January. And obviously, he's beyond Ultimate Fight Night cards now. I think, I don't think that we're going to see him, performing as impressively as he did against Matt Hamill. I think he belongs on pay-per-view cards exclusively from this point going forward. So, I don't think we'll see him on January 11th. And so that'll mean probably the next time we can see him would be February 6th. And I think that would be a good reward. Get him back, get him in there quickly, and we'll see him.